So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is our first Monday.com user group for 2023. We've got loads of attendees today, so thanks very much for joining us. We're unique. We're not unique, but unusual today in that we're actually all together in a room. Still seems strange. So along with myself, Martin McNamara, today we've got my colleague Ralph from Provident and Z from Monday. So we're all going to be running through some different aspects of what we're covering today. So hopefully we can answer some questions for you. And this will be a useful session. So just to give you a little bit of info in terms of what we're hoping to cover today. There's the slide I should have brought up, which tells us who we are. So yeah, myself, Martin on the left, Ralph in the middle, and Z to the left there. So let me just show you what we're going to cover then today. We're going to be about 30 minutes. We have got questions that some people have submitted beforehand, so thanks for those. If you do have questions along the way, please feel free to submit them in the chat, or equally later on when we've got the questions and answers, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question directly, we'd love to hear from you. We'll send you a recording probably tomorrow afterwards, just so you've got that, or if you want to share that with anybody else. And equally, anybody who hasn't attended for whatever reason, but they did register, they will also get that recording too. And then we will send you a survey afterwards. Really appreciate it if you can just fill it in, just let us know what you thought, any additional questions, and maybe what you would like covered on future mugs next month or the month after. But I'm going to just stop sharing the screen for a second. I'm going to move over to another screen, and I'm going to show you what we're going to cover. Okay, so we're going to cover a couple of different features for you today. So the first one I'm going to look at with you is just an example of how you can add a baseline to your projects in Monday to show the difference between the original plan timeline for a project and the actual timeline for a project and how that's changed. So the idea being that we would have, so I'm in the Monday projects product at the moment. So I've got my various different projects here that I can see. So here's my portfolio of projects that I've got going on. You can see the various different stages of the projects that I've got. So for example, I can expand this out and we can see all the different projects I've got planned at the moment. So here are my upcoming projects, my active projects, and my completed projects. And then when I go down into the detail level of one of those projects, I'm going to go into my project Romeo just here. So my main view of this is the typical board view that you'd be familiar with. So again, split up into different groups. Planning, design, development, verification, validation, lots of different ways that we could arrange it. And we can see some of the top line information we've got here in terms of statuses, time tracking, duration, effort, budgets, etc., and some formula columns, etc. we've got there. So let me just expand this out again. So if we look then at the actual activities that we've got various different activities throughout the different phases. And we've got some start and end dates for each particular activity, as well as the other information in terms of time spent, dependencies, expected duration of each particular task, effort expected, and so on. So by capturing these in here, then it allows us to do some calculations based on some of that. So we can look at, what our costs are, what our expended effort is, and so on. But also what we want to do is we want to have a look at maybe what our differentiation is between our original plan in terms of timeline for our project and our actual, how long did it actually take us? Did we slip in terms of the scheduled plan for our project? So how can we do that? Well, first of all, we can add a Gantt view, which I've added already. So the Gantt view is going to show us everything in a, show us all the projects and tasks and show the dependencies between them. So I can see that activity 2 can't commence until activity 1 is completed and so on down there. So I've got an example of all that down through all the different phases. They're all linked together. They're all dependent one upon another. So I can see how that all fits together. If I want to see then what the baseline is then compared to the current version of that, the really easy way of doing it, which is a new feature in Monday, just recently released. So very simple, click on the baseline box here. And I'm going to show baseline, and I'm going to add a new snapshot. So what that's doing is it's putting in place a new picture of what my project looks like today on the 18th of January. So it's put that together in there now, and it's added automatically a couple of columns to my board. So if we come back out of this for a second, back into our default view, what it's done by clicking that baseline button, it's added in over here on the right, baseline, start and end date, and the difference between them. So it's added in these two columns automatically by me doing that. So what that will do automatically is as our dates change, it will automatically highlight the difference here in this column here. So what that means then is that we can look back at any stage of our project and see how we're doing in terms of our planned schedule and how it's changed along the way. And then we can go back into our Gantt chart at any point. So I can go back in again tomorrow. I can do a new baseline snapshot of it. So it means then that we can start looking back at how it is. So for example, if I go back into my previous baseline and take that out, then I'll be able to go back in and I can see how that's changed and how that's slipped since the last snapshot that I took. So it's just a handy way of putting that in, adding in those columns, those two columns automatically, adding in the formula, which is going to highlight the difference. And then obviously from there, then we could take that difference and put it onto a dashboard, use it for review of projects along the way, look back at a project at the end of it and see how things have changed. So it can be used for learning, for the next time we do a project or when we want to review how we've done a project. So that's one new feature which I thought was interesting, which I thought was quite handy to use. I want to show you something else different now. So this is on the projects workspace. I'm going to go now into a sales and CRM product and show you something in there. So you can see here the installed products that I have on my Monday account. So I've got the work management, which is the product you should all be familiar with, which is the basic work OS product from Monday. And then I've also got installed on this a couple of additional products. So I've got sales and CRM, I've got marketeer, I've got projects, I've got dev, and I've also got work forms. Ralph is going to talk, I think, about some work forms later on. Yeah. So I just want to show you something in the sales and CRM product then as well. And this is new as well, by the way, in terms of how you can switch between different products that you may have installed on your account. Just an easier way of switching between them. So I'm going into my sales and CRM product, which will bring me in here. So let's just have a look at what I've got here at the moment. So for those who haven't seen this before, this is the CRM product, which gives us a lot of different boards related to our sales and CRM processes. So everything from leads to opportunities to companies to contacts to activities, and even further hands over into cash collection, delivery of whatever we've sold, supporting documents for sales materials. So quite a useful product for any sales team. And worth looking at if that's something you're doing in Monday or you're not doing in Monday today. We can have a look at that. So just for a moment, what we're going to look at here, opportunities. So I've got my pipeline set up in here at the moment. Let me just show you the different stages we've got. So I've got my working pipeline, my closed one, and my lost opportunities. I can see quick snapshot of my deal values, sales stages, other close probabilities, forecast values, etc. If I open this up again, here's my working pipeline. I can see the person responsible for it. I can see the main contact and the company it's associated with, the deal value, the stage that it's at, priority, deal length, value, etc., etc. So lots of information about my particular opportunity. And then obviously I can open up the item page and look in more detail at that specific opportunity. I can look at the company it's associated with. I can look at the emails and activities related to that opportunity. So lots of that stuff is in there. But what do I want to see? Just an overall idea of what my pipeline looks like in a better way than just this list view of it. So we can create a dashboard for our opportunities. And we can show various different metrics and KPIs of how we want to illustrate that. So how many closed won deals per month, what the value of those is, what our forecast looks like, and lots of different ways that we can add those in and analyze what's in there. A new feature, which has just been released as well, is a pipeline funnel. So we can add in additional widgets to this dashboard by clicking Add Widget. Go down here to More Widgets. And this is the full list of all the widgets that we can add to a dashboard. This is common across any dashboard that you might have in your account. So we've got recommended ones at the top. And then there are more as we go on down through, some different recommendations in terms of different types that you might want to add. And again, that said, these can be added to any dashboard you have. And then right down, if we keep going down, there's some specific ones where it's an app created by Monday. And the one I'm looking for, the funnel one, is here. I'm going to add that now in just a second. There are also marketplace apps down here, which you may not be aware of. These are apps developed by partners like ourselves that may give you additional functionality over and above what comes in Monday itself. So just to make you aware that those are there. Coming back then, the one I want to put in is a funnel chart. So I'm going to add this as a widget to my dashboard. It's going to populate into here. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see what's going on. So this is giving me different view of my pipeline. So I can just see how that's looking. So I can configure this then to see what stages my products are at, my opportunities are at. And I can change how this is showing. So I can see, so at the moment, it's based on sales stage and based on, I'm going to change that to deal value. So now it's giving me an idea of how my pipeline is changing across the different stages of my project, of my opportunities, excuse me. I can change the colors to show the different stages, if that makes it easier to see. I can have a single color, I can have it multiple colors, whatever makes most sense for us, to give a better picture of how that's looking. So it's a nice little way of just analyzing your forecast and displaying it in a more graphic way than you might have previously. Then what we can do as well is we can filter this then by salesperson. So I can filter it by myself. Let's see what that looks like. I can filter it by somebody else. I can filter it by teams if I had them. So lots of different ways that I can filter it and see what it looks like. I can also do it by date. So for example, I could say, let's have a look at this month. Nothing, I haven't closed anything this month, not looking great. I'm going to be in trouble. I can look at it for the last 6 months. Let's see what it looks like across there. So just, I think it's a nice little additional reporting feature for sales teams in particular that you can add into a sales dashboard and configure it to show it how you want. I'm going to hand over now to Ralph. You've heard enough from me for the moment, and Ralph is going to show you some additional pieces that we've got as well.
Cheers, Martin. So, as Martin mentioned, Monday's expanding. Monday's giving more and more data, and Monday's allowing people to have more and more information readily available. And the dashboard is obviously a great snapshot of that. But as more information is loaded into that system, and as more information is, refined, it can slow things down. It's not ideal, but it does. So there is a way now to literally change that if you want. So as we go into it, where did it go to?
It's in the 3 dots beside Power Up, I think. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
You have to love live, don't you? There, that's what. Just up here, looking for.
No, it's the live, to toggle the live view on and off.
What I am trying to show you.
More actions is in there. No, sorry.
No, that's all right. I'll find it in a minute. But just to give an overview of what it is, you can, when you find it, be able to switch off live data. So rather than the system continually updating, continually pulling in that information, you can pause it and you can say, okay, I just want to take a snapshot of this now. And we'll leave it as is. So that'll increase load speeds, it'll make things more fluid, and it'll allow people to have more kind of information to hand when they want. Still not there. We will do. Nobody can leave until we find this. But the key point is that it'll allow you to be able to get a snapshot without having delay upon delay upon delay. And that's down to the more information that you actually pull into the system. Further to that, on the dashboard's end of things, Monday have removed the feature to print the dashboard, primarily because it's upgraded now to allow export to PDF. Now, there we go. So as you can see, we can go live data, and now we can turn that off if we want. You can manually refresh it if needs be by just hitting here, but you can obviously leave it live. You can change it whichever way you want, but it's down to you, but it gives you more flexibility and more choice. That's the point.
I think what I like about this is that, say you're preparing for a meeting and you've got a dashboard that you're looking at in the morning, you might want to pause the updates to that dashboard, so it's not changing.
Yep.
So you come along and you're talking about some particular
sale or deal,
stage that you're at. In the meantime, it might have changed in the background, so you can pause effectively the dashboard at a particular point in time, and then obviously you can refresh it again. And as Ralph said, you can see here at the moment, so this dashboard is connected to 5 connected boards. As you add more boards to it, depending upon how complicated those boards are, the load time could slow down. So it's just a nice way of being able to kind of freeze it and take a little snapshot in time.
And as I mentioned, removing the print dashboards feature, the idea was literally to improve it by bringing you to allow it to export to PDF. PDF gives you so much more data available, rather than if you print something off and half your screen doesn't come out or you're missing key pieces. Bring it all into PDF, condensing it all into a manageable folder for you to be able to see was the viewpoint that Monday took when it came to that. So that's the dashboards features that have been updated. If we go on to have a look at work docs. So we have our doc here. A couple of things that we've kind of heard back from people is, if I make it main, does that mean everybody in the account can see it? Yes, it does. Everybody that has access to that board will be able to see that document, which is great if you want to do a lot of collaboration with people and everything. Some people like having the ability just to kind of create a board or a document that they're just working on privately, and they'll update. And then if you want to share that to anybody else, guests that are working with outside your account, so if you're working with an external partner for whatever needs, you then have that there. So I just wanted to create a quick doc. The idea being that as Monday have brought out works, a lot of people have given a lot of feedback, and the system has really improved and really refined what they're doing. So the style feature that is now allows people to choose lots of different templates that are there, and they're all set within the system. So you've got your headers, cover image, title. Important to note that they've now added a table of contents. So if you've got a lot of information that you want to kind of set in, put into the system, that's now there available for you to use under a table of contents. There is one other thing that I wanted to show. Where's it gone? The text feature. So as you can see, we've got lots of different elements. It was all ever just kind of one setting, which wasn't ideal, but now we've got lots of different options for people to have different styles. And as you're creating a doc and moving it around, that gives you loads more different options available. We have alignment, so it is very much a full fluid work doc that's now available for people. So they're just the documents that are there, and the updates that are going on with them. It changes and updates so often that I think that this is going to be one of those features that people are going to use more and more and more, and have more and more options available to them if they want. The background feature obviously gives you a lot more color and a lot more patterns available as well. So as I mentioned, it's a full fluid working document now.
Just to maybe add to that, Ralph, that table of content is really interesting. We've had a lot of customers come to us and say they're using work docs to collaborate, but also just maybe as a repository of information. So if you've got new starters, you might want to have number 1 on the table of content, your first day, how to get oriented around the office. Second thing could be, who to speak to in each department. So it almost acts as a wiki or repository of information that they can refer to offline. So yeah, we're constantly making changes, and yeah, if anyone's using work docs and wants to send feedback, please feel free to.
Yeah, I like the way this kind of at the beginning there, and I'll just kind of come back to it again, was how you can, I'm going to add a new one just to see those templates that you've got at the beginning. So I just create a new doc again, like Ralph did a moment ago. You've got the option now to pick what you're starting from. So similar to when you create a board, you can start from scratch, which is basically a blank one, or you can use these kind of templated features depending upon what you're creating.
So as you can see there in the project plan end of things, if we go into this and we select this as a template, it's already done a lot of the work for people there. So it already has a lot of information that is there, and that can be added to or edited around as you need. So it gives people great choice and great options, which I think is something we all want to have in a way.
Yeah, I think another key point with this then as well is that you can input then a board into here. So if you've got a board, for example, with budget, you could input that in here and make that part of your document. So rather than just being a kind of static kind of Word style document, suddenly it's becoming a more interactive document with additional information.
Features to it.
Yeah. So I think it's something, I think there's a lot more scope to use more frequently, in particular, some of those templates now really makes a big difference.
Yeah, big time. So that's where we are with the updates regarding docs and dashboards. Thanks for attending. And I'll hand it back to Martin.
Yeah, thanks. So I think Z, you're gonna.
Yeah.
We've got a few questions then that we went through, or we've got from before. So we're just going to run through some of those questions now. And instead, if you do have additional ones that you want to jump into, then be delighted to go through those too. So
Sure.
Z, hand over to you, and hopefully we can figure out the answers to the questions that we've had so far.
Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who put in their questions ahead of the session as well. So I'm just going to pick a few that have come through. So we have one from Carlotta, who's asked us about capacity planning and dashboards and the best way to do that within Monday. So hopefully from what Martin showed, you've got a good view of the dashboards that you're able to build within Monday. I think one of the things that a lot of our customers like is it's very, very easy to add widgets and customize those widgets themselves within a dashboard. And as long as the data is in the board and you've linked it to the right boards you need, there's no need to re-update, every day or every time you make a change. It just pulls that data through. If you do need any help in configuring dashboards, by all means, let us know, and please get in touch with Providence. We'd be more than happy to help with some of those questions. The second part of the question is about capacity planning. So within, if you're running a project or if you're looking at workload overall for a team, it is really, really important to have that visible. So as part of the dashboard and also as a standard view within Monday, we have a way to measure workload. So you can see, for example, you've got a team with various different team members who have tasks with set times. Those days and times are actually tied to items within Monday, so we're automatically recognizing which week they fall into. And more than that, you can go into the settings and actually define what the capacity should be for the team. So, you might want to say there's a set number of hours, or there's a set number of items that we want each team member to be able to carry out effectively. And over that point, they might be inefficient or maybe just have too much work on. So from this view, really, really simple to see that. If it looks like someone has too much work and maybe one of their colleagues has a bit more capacity, then we can always click onto one of those buttons and actually just see which data they have that's in for that week. And if we need to, we can assign it directly from that view as well to another person. So pretty simple and hopefully very easy for team planners, team leads, project managers to move capacity around very quickly too. The next question I have is from excuse me, let me just find it. Is from Abby, who asked a couple of questions. First one is, can we include documents within the dashboard? So the short answer is yes, you can within the dashboard add a widget, which funnily enough is called Embed Everything. And you can also add file gallery as well. So either if it's something that you just want to add from a PDF, or you have a website link, or even something like I've seen also Twitter account feeds or Google Maps, you literally create that widget, add a link, and it will render within the dashboard.
So can I add in like a link then to a Google Doc or something
Yeah.
into here? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can keep that up to date, or if it's the Monday doc as well, that would work.
Obviously,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, anything that you can find on the internet, you can put into there, and it will render within the dashboard. So if you need to have something that's very visible in a dashboard the whole time, just go through that.
And the other one you mentioned, you mentioned
A file
another.
gallery, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
If you have files already added onto a board, then you can actually reference them there. So just find them within where you've already uploaded. So those would be for things that you've already added to the certain board. I think in this case we don't have anything, but if something's added, it will be recognized within that.
So this will show us then a view then of all the files associated with the projects that are connected to this. Perfect.
Exactly.
So for example, it could be all your project plans or all your quotes or all your anything like that would show up in here. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or it could be various iterations of graphics or designs, etc. Is it possible to view things by quarter? Yes. So for any board or any dashboard that has things defined with a set timeline, we're able to then just adjust any of the dashboards or views that you need to be set by as the time period. So we can actually take a look at any of these data and then just start to cut that data out into chunks of time. So if we look at a view with a timeline or a Gantt or anything else that's time related, then you can change the settings and actually chop that up into quarters if needed. Final question is, can you create folders to store automations? So to my knowledge, no at this point, but actually if you do find yourself using the same automation a lot, it might be worth just putting that into a board as a template, and we're going to always have those replicated every time you create a new board.
I can think of a couple of customers who've done that, who just found particular templates that work really well with them. They've obviously created it themselves, and they've just saved a whole template board together.
Yeah.
And then they just move it over into whenever they need it, and they can work away from there. So it's an easy and fluid way of working.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I mean, one of the things that we would recommend, certainly if you find you're doing recurring kind of projects. So for example, we do a mug every month. We have a Monday board which details what we need to do in advance of that. So we can create that board as a template. So let's just say this is I'm going to say Project Romeo is my template board. I can save that as a template, and then I can reuse that one again. So it's great for me because I don't have the permissions. But and then, as I was just showing there a moment ago, what you can do additionally is if you find there are automations that you're frequently using, maybe across different boards, then I can just go into that automation. And again, great out for me at the moment. I can save that as a template, which means then that I can reuse that across my account if there's something particular that I want to find on a recurring basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. One more question, which I believe we've got time for, is just about integrations. So yes, specifically, there's been a question here about integrations with Jira and Slack or potential other alternatives. I'm guessing Henry, who asked that, is asking about communication tools. So yes, within the Monday Power Up Center, you can see a lot of the different apps that we have available. We have Slack, we have Jira, we have a bunch of other communication tools as well. And when you click into each one, it will show you some examples of what you can do and achieve with that. So for example, that one there that Martin is hovering on, when a status changes to something, you might want to tell someone in Slack that, hey, this project has gone ahead, or maybe there's a delay and you want to tell them about that. So yeah, I would really encourage you to have a look at what you're using already and seeing if we can integrate it straight out of the box with Monday. If that's not the case, then there might be some custom work that can be done. And in that case, I would ask you to reach out to Martin or Ralph, and I'm sure they'll be able to scope that out.
Yeah, I guess over and above the out-of-the-box integrations which are available in here, there is, of course, the Monday, I'll try and get the name of it right. Is it called an app store? No, Marketplace. Marketplace. So there is the Monday Marketplace in here, Apps Marketplace. So just worth going in here. There are new apps being added here all the time for different functionality. So if there's something specific you're trying to do which isn't currently available out of the box on Monday, it's worth having a look through the marketplace here to see if there's something specific that might address what you need, or obviously if there's some particular specific integration you're looking for, we can create custom integrations for you. So that's something we do quite a lot, where you might have a particular other tool that you're using that you might want to connect to Monday or vice versa, then talk to us about that. We can certainly help with that. But there's lots of different marketplace apps in here all the time. I've got a number probably already installed. No, I don't have it installed on here at the moment. Okay. But yeah, so just to make you aware, PowerUps and their apps marketplace, you may well find some additional tools that might be useful for you in there. So I think that's pretty much all the questions, or do we have some more questions? Oh yeah, we've got a couple more questions.
A couple more in the chat.
Yes.
So
cool.
one question from Alan is, when using the text widget on the dashboard, can we get rid of the formatting panel? Bring up the dashboard and take a look at the widgets there. So I think it's the text widget that Alan is referring to. Have you used the text widget much?
No. But I know what, as in, it's useful for kind of headings of your dashboard. So if you want to split up your dashboard and give it different names and so on, you can do this.
Yeah.
And so the question was then,
can we get rid of this formatting panel? I believe that's the
this here
bit, yes.
So I think once you've finished configuring the text, it should disappear. No. So here's my text.
Hi guys, sorry, I did ask the question. No, actually, when I couldn't figure out how to get rid of that. Whenever you ask, it remains there.
Oh, really? Okay. So so if I put in dashboard, finish that. Okay.
And if you type something in the main box, Mark,
yeah,
does that change anything?
Live typing is always a challenge.
You go to the three dots, top right.
Yeah. There it
And if I go back to view now, it should.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Fantastic. And one more question from Phil. Is it possible to transfer replies from project request forms to a project board that don't contain the same columns? I think the question is, can we add replies from a form to a board that doesn't have the same columns?
Add replies to a form.
From a form to another board.
So you could move the item. So you could move the item from the original board that it lands in into another board, yes. But obviously if it's different columns, then it's not going to show all of the bits of data that you want.
Right.
So yes, I guess.
Yeah, I think, sorry, Martin, just to give some content or context, we have a couple of project request forms that we send out through 3 different brands at the moment.
Okay.
And it's just to simplify the project board by not having 30 different columns with answers. So what I'm trying to say is if a question comes from one request form, that's not, because we don't use the same request form across the 3 different brands.
Yes.
It's to make sure that if the first question might be project name, or then the first question on another form that's being created by one of the teams is the requester name. So it's been able to map them to specific columns so that you might only have a project board with 15 columns instead of having 45.
Okay. Okay. So what you could do, I guess, in that case, then would be depending upon the form that's being used. Let's say, for example, the question is the form is related to retail. If it's got a status of retail, for example, you could say move that to the retail board and bring that across. And if it's got different columns then on that board, it'll only show those relevant bits of information, those relevant columns on that board.
So we could use conditional forms there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, conditional forms would be a great way of doing it because that would refine the questions that you're getting.
Information returned back.
Yeah. So for example, I don't know if you looked at that, but if you I did some work on this actually with another client there recently. So for example, depending upon what the status or the question I'm answering might be, I can add in a new question then here, and I can make that conditional upon the question. So I can say, okay, well, depending upon which option I pick here, I can then include a condition, and based on that condition, I can then either add additional questions or add other conditions then at that point. So it's quite a good way of kind of drilling down through various different stages of a request and moving it around depending upon.
So that'll really refine the reply from a customer to the board so that they get a clear line of what's what, rather than, as you mentioned, having 40 different columns, but only 15 are relevant. For
So that might be worth something looking at just to refine that process.
Thanks.
I think we have one last question from Louise. Basically, she's asking, is there a Control Z or an undo type functionality?
Yes, I think there is, isn't there? So let's just say I have deleted an item here. So you can see straight away it's gone into my recycle bin for the next 30 days. So I'm going to delete it. And I come in tomorrow and I go, oh my God, where's that item I've deleted? Good news is I can go into my recycle bin, which I don't remember where it is.
It's in the top right.
Top right.
So sorry to interrupt. So it's not for the bigger deletions. It's for if I accidentally change a date, if I move it and I can't remember what the old date was. So it's a minor change, not as big as a deletion, but I've adjusted something and I can't remember what it was. Normally, if it was Excel, you just press Control Z and it would pop back to what it was. So it's more those style rather than a board deletion or a line deletion. It's tweaks that you want to undo that you've done by mistake, so you don't know what it said before.
So if you go into, you can see here, if you go into the, here, last scene. So here we've got all the activity that's taken place on this board. So I can see here by clicking on activity, everything that's happened going back over time across this board. So if I want to say, okay, I want to filter by anything that I've made a change on something. I can't remember what change it was. I can go in through here and I can filter by that. So I can filter and show everything. I can pick today, this week, this month. So this week, and I can see everything that was changed this week. So here I can see that I added an additional column or I deleted an additional column. So that should enable you to see what you've changed yesterday, this morning, last week, and you could put it back in then at that point.
I mean, that looks great. Would you mind just doing it? So if you change the date on one of the lines and then just go through that process, just so I've seen it.
So if I change, so for example, I'm going to change the priority on this for argument's sake. Okay, I'm going to change this to high priority. If I go back then into my activity log up here, go into activity. So I can see that today, just now, I changed on item Dynamo the priority from medium to high.
Fantastic.
So now I know if I want to revert back, that's what I do. So I can just go back into. I don't think you can change it in here. So I've got to still go back into the board, but now I can go back in and say, okay, hang on a second, that wasn't actually a high one. I can revert that back to a medium priority, and so I can see easily what I've changed and change it back to what it was.
And that works if you change the typing, the text inside one of those boxes as well.
Correct. Yeah. So if I for argument's sake, say the number, I'm going to change this to 200. So I've changed that text. Again, I can go back into here, into activities, and it will show that I changed that budget from 300,000 to 200 just there.
If it's any consolation, last week I batch deleted 10 items from a company forecast.
Okay.
So, this was how we tracked down.
Have you just named and shamed yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. So we're probably over time, but if anybody has additional questions or anything else they'd like us to answer, I'm more than happy to take any of those at the moment. Or if not, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. Oops, sorry, I will try and get out of my dictionary. My screen is gone. Okay. I've lost my screen. Never mind. So look, thank you again for joining. We will, as I said, send out the recording of this probably tomorrow. We are doing another one again next month. I think our plan at the moment next month is we'll be talking about a use case about how we actually use Monday for managing marketing projects, and also how we can integrate Monday with other tools like, in this case, HubSpot. So it's a marketing focused mug next week, not next week, sorry, excuse me, next month. And we'll try and add different things to this every time. Appreciate your feedback on it. If you want to make contact with any of us from today, details are on the website, providencecrm.com. Be delighted to talk to you in detail about any additional questions you might have or anything else we can help with. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Please share with colleagues, friends, family, and let them know to come along and join us on the next one. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks a million for your time.
Thanks very much.